Yeah, I miss school full stop. That's that's the bottom line. It's not the same, and you miss that excitement and that energy of the kids coming back. And as much as they say we got school and we don't want to be back at school, they love it. They're so excited to see their mates and catch up and everything. I had a wonderful childhood. I really did. I started playing rugby at Boskop when I was in grade 1. You had to, and you played barefoot. And winter and early mornings kicking the ball and your foot stinging, and running on the sort of the typical Joburg Highveld winter with the frost on the grass. And we were organizing an excursion, a sporting excursion with all the other teacher training colleges at that point in time. I remember at that point, that was in the late 80s. And we were trying to organize buses to head off to the Normaal College in Pretoria, which was an Afrikaans college, and the bus drivers refused to transport the black students. You kind of grew up with that, and I think that probably was a natural influence in the history, and you went to the corner cafe and you bought comics that were World War II comics and stories, and it was very much part of your everyday life. So I think that to me was something that I really enjoyed and picked up. And as a teacher, you have the greatest influence on your students. And that influence can go either way. And of course, I was doing 200 kilo squat, part of the warm up. It was 10 reps. And I can't remember, I'd got into probably my 8th rep or whatever. And my legs literally just fatigued because of the morning and everything. And I got stuck in the full squat at the bottom. So the guy spotting me, I said to him, listen, get the weight off. And he panicked. He lifted it off my shoulders and couldn't lift it, obviously, and then dropped it back onto my neck. It was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my life. And it was when you go into the army, you register and you fill in forms, and they don't do anything to you until you get a medical clearance, which at that point was called a G1K1. And if you got a G1K1, it meant psychologically you were good and physically you were good, which meant they could train you and basically beat the crap into you for the next 6 months, or your basic training, whatever it was. And one of the questions that's asked in the psychological one is, are you homosexual? Have you had any sexual relations with person of the same sex? And it was difficult for me because I just recently qualified as a teacher. I'd had 4 years of tertiary education. You're a free-thinking human being, and now you've got to lie about it. We started that business with literally a bonus that I got for coaching rugby, and had 2 plastic laundry baskets turned upside down with a chipboard top and a tablecloth as the table. And in the star classified section, that's a newspaper, we found a secondhand printer and computer, and we bought that, I think, for like 300 Rand at that point, and started the business. Got 2 telephone lines, 1 fax line and 1 normal line, and started the business like that in our spare room. Often said to my students in history class, you take one of the basic principles of democracy and of the French Revolution with one of the philosophers, I think it was Rousseau, who said, I do not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Mm-hmm. And those are conversations we need to have. And it's not about hate speech or anything. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about opinions, and I'm talking about listening to each other. And those are kind of conversations that heal nations, that get people to understand differences and who we are.